Okay, so in the beginning, the Christian church had to formulate the central beliefs of our faith. The leaders argued, they prayed, and they studied to come up with what we now have in the Bible, as well as things like the Apostles' Creed, the Nicene Creed, those things that we actually believe as part of our faith. And the Reformation leaders threw out things that pointed away from Christ and toward the ideas that good works were necessary for salvation. I think the video said that very well. Do you remember what its theme was that they said that we needed to have? Jesus? That was pretty much it, right? So what they were left with, they had the essentials of the Christian faith, which we still have today. And, we decided that Christ doesn't need our help, does he? We don't need to do good works. We do them because we are asked to do them. We do them because Jesus asks us, and that's our thank you back to him, but we don't have to. He doesn't need our help in saving us. So everything other than that was what they considered adiaphora. You think of things we have as adiaphora here at Trinity? PowerPoint? Pews? Yes. Adiaphora is just basically a big word that means non-essential, things we can take or leave. So despite being non-essential, some of those things are, in the church today, points of contention, and they continue to divide the church. Adiaphora in churches today, yes, whether we have pews or chairs, whether we have grape juice or wine during communion, whether you listen to the praise team or organ music at worship. We have things like bulletins versus PowerPoint. Some of that adiaphora is good for us. They provide great tools for us to help us worship. For example, like in the past, in American history, some older congregations had to decide if they were going to continue to worship in the native language of their immigrants, like if they were going to continue worship in German or Swedish or Norwegian, or if they were going to begin worshiping in English, which probably doesn't seem like a big deal to us today, but it wasn't even possible before the Reformation. Those kind of things did not happen. So obviously, adiaphora changes through time. It's not always the same. Anybody know what the Bible says about church and worship? No? Things like, for where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, I am there among them. Things like from Hebrews, not neglecting to meet together, as is the habit of some, but encouraging one another. It doesn't say anything about you must have organ music and light candles. So every faith community has to figure out which of its beliefs and practices are essential to its faith and which are not. So have you noticed that some people don't always agree on everything in the church? You've noticed that? Yeah, sometimes that happens. So why do you think they argue about those things? Because for whatever reason, it's important to them. Like I have things that I like to do in church because I did them growing up, and it reminds me of that. And it was worship then. It's kind of, for me, it's not a necessity now. So for whatever reason, like always, growing up, we always sang Holy, Holy, Holy. That was a hymn we sang on the first and the third Sundays because those were the Sundays we had communion. Some people here, like to have a bulletin in their hand. Some like to use the PowerPoint. Some come to church when we have the organ music. Some only come to praise team services. It's all what you like, all your personal preferences. So I want you to go back to your small groups now and talk about what makes church seem like church for you. What are things that you want to have? What appeals to you about the worship service you usually come to? If you come to the contemporary service, what is it that you like about those services? If you come to the traditional service, what is it about that service that you like? What might you consider adiaphora? And what do you think is essential for worship? So go back to your small groups, and those are the questions you can think of. If you have any questions now, anybody, before you leave? Girls in Cindy's group are going with the Olsons and Kevin. All right, thank you.